What's going on, guys? My name is Baron, Developer B, and welcome back to episode 19 of the Bukkit coding tutorial series. And in this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to use signs inside of your code, which is Minecraft signs is what I'm referring to. And we are going to implement signs into our warps plugin that we made a little while ago. So pretty much how we're going to do this is we are going to add a listener for whenever a player places a sign down and writes warp in it and specifies a warp or whatever. We're going to listen to that, and if it is a warp sign, then we are going to create a warp sign, and whenever the player right clicks on that sign after the sign is created, then it will take them to that specified warp that is on that sign. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So as you remember, we did create the custom configuration manager for this plugin. So pretty much we have this set up right here, and I found a few bugs with it, and I wanted to go over that with you right here. And it will not cast to a float if we use this pitch and yaw for whatever reason. So we have to cast this to a double, which will work, and then we can just cast that double to a float in this teleport right here. So that will work there. And also we are going to just go ahead and add this right here, because I also noticed that whenever after we first save it, we have to reload the plugin for this to work, and if we don't reload, then this is going to have an error. So we are going to add this, and hopefully that will remove that bug. I'm not sure. We're going to have to see that in game. So let's go ahead and create a new method really fast. This is just going to be a simple getter method that's easier to use in our new class. So it's going to be get location, or location, get location. We're going to use this in our listener class that we're going to create in a second. So string warp, and we pretty much all we have to do is copy and paste this code right here. Essentially, we'll write all of this right here actually. So we just have to copy and paste this into here, and then we can just replace this arg with warp. So we can just go through here and type warp, just like that. And we can go down here and return a new location of XYZ, yaw, and pitch, and world, I forgot at the front, obviously, and then world. There we go. So now we can, okay. Oh yeah, we have to cast this. So float and then float there. And now we can use this in our new class, and we might be able to use it right here. Let's go ahead and see. So we can just teleport them to get location of the arg, and we can do that. So let's just go ahead and do that instead of writing all that code right there, and we will use this in the new class too. It just makes it easier because so we don't have to type all of that again in the new class. So let's go ahead and create a new class, and we're going to call this class warp or sign listener. Let's just call it sign listener, and we are going to implement listener in here. And we can go down here and just create a simple constructor really fast that pretty much just sets up our listener, so we don't have to do it in the main class. So register this and plugin, and then we can just go into this right up here and say new sign listener this, and we are done. Now we are going to be looking at two new listeners today, or events. And the first one is going to be the sign change event. And pretty much what the sign change event is whenever a sign is created, that is when this is called. So after you type everything is when it's created, is when this event is called. So we are going to go ahead and start typing this stuff out. So we can go ahead and say if e.getLine 0 dot equals ignore case, and then we can say warp. And pretty much what we're doing here is we're checking if the first line, so it's going in 0 because of the index, so 0, 1, 2, 3, if there's 4 lines. And we are checking if the first line is equal to this, because this is going to be saying that the player is calling out a warp, that they want to create a warp sign. So we're going to listen for that. And if they go ahead and type that on the sign, then we are going to try and do something. We are going to try and say string, or no, location equals get location, or warps.get location of e.get line 1. And this is pretty much .2 lowercase, like that. And what this is actually going to do is it is going to get the line from warp 1. And we also are going to want to check for this. Actually, we're going to say if warps.get location of e.get line 1 equals null. So we're going to say if this doesn't exist, then we are going to say this e.get player dot send message chat color dot red, and we are going to say the specified warp does not exist. Please create a new sign with a valid warp, like that. And then we can go ahead and return after this, and that will take care of that, and we can just remove this. And now we are ready to specify this, because we obviously know that this is a valid location now, and we can go ahead and do this. So we don't even need this right now. This is going to be in the next listener. We're just going to go ahead and set the lines up to look nice. So we're going to say 0 after the sign is created. We are actually going to change the lines. So we're going to say dark red and bold.toString, and we're going to say warp, like that. And so that's going to look nice. And then we can say e.setLine1, and that is going to be chat color.red. And we are just going to go ahead and say e.getLine1, so that's the current line, .to uppercase. So that will look good, and that will be done now. So we are done with this sign change event. We don't really need anything else. And we have successfully created the warp sign. And now we are going to go into the more important part of this. This is really the creation process. We're actually going to, let's go ahead and say e.getPlayer.sendMessage chat color.green, and we can say successfully created a new warp sign for the warp, and then chat color.dark green, and we can say e.getLine of, actually we can go ahead, let's go up here. Let's send this message before we change the line so it's nice and good, and we don't have to reformat it at all. We can just say e.getLine1 and then chat color.green exclamation point, and there we go, we got that done. And now we can go down here and start doing our interact, and we're just gonna say on interact, and pretty much this is going to be a player interact event, and this is pretty much going to be called whenever the player interacts with a particular block or entity or anything. Well, not the entity, because there's a player interact entity event, but whenever the player interacts, which is pretty much right clicking or left clicking, that is an interact. And we can get the action of the player, which is whether they are right clicking or left clicking, and we can say if it equals right click or left click or whatever. So there are a bunch of different actions, as you can see, besides right clicking and left clicking, like let's say physical, accelerator key, action key, like a bunch of different keys and stuff. But we are just going to use the right click block, because that is all we need. So if we are right clicking a block, then that is a sign that we are right clicking a sign, maybe. And then we can say clicked block dot get state instance of sign. So a sign in Minecraft is pretty much a state, a block state. As you can see, it extends block state. So this, we have to say get state after click block. We can't just say if the block is a sign, we have to check for the state. And if the block is a sign, then we're going to say sign equals, and then we cast sign to e.getClickBlock.getState. And now we can go down here and start checking for lines. So if sign dot get line of 0 dot equals ignore case, and we can go ahead and type that dark red. So we're pretty much making sure that this is a created sign, not just a failed sign or something, by adding those things in there. We could say warp like so, and we can check if that equals that. And if it does, then we are going to teleport this player to the warp. So we are going to say e.getPlayer.teleport to warps.getLocation of the e.getLine, oops, not e.getLine, sign.getLine 1 dot, or we actually have to go like this. So chat color dot strip color. So pretty much what this does is we are removing all of the color codes from this, so we just get the line plain text in string. So we are going to strip the colors, I keep doing that, from sign.getLine of 1, and we are stripping them from that, so this returned string is just a stripped color. And then we can say .to lowercase, which is getting the warp. And there we go. So we removed all punctuation and casing, and we removed all the colors, so it's just a straight string. And that looks like it is it. We can go ahead and say e.getPlayer.sendMessage, chatColor.green. And we can actually go in here, we can just copy this message saying you successfully teleported to the warp. We can just go ahead and copy this and paste it in this right here. So we can just go like this, paste, and this arg is just going to be sign or chatColor.stripColor. We can just say that same exact one, sign.getLine of 1 dot to lowercase. And there we go. Actually, just go like that, or to lowercase. And that is it. We are done with that listener. So I'm pretty sure we are actually done with this whole entire plugin. There isn't much else we can add, so let's just go over this really fast. So if we type warp into the sign, then it's going to check and see if this warp on line 1 exists. If it doesn't, then we are going to stop it right there. But if it does, then we are going to go down and create a warp sign. And down here, we are checking if the clicked block that the player is interacting with is a sign. Then we are going to check if it is a warp sign. If it is a warp sign, then we are going to teleport that player to the specific warp on that sign. And if we go in here, we created this, which is just a little method that runs this in here and in the listener. And we created some new stuff, and I'm pretty sure that is it for this plugin. So let's go ahead and build this. So let's go ahead and go into Minecraft now, and here we are. Let's go ahead and reload this, and here we are in Minecraft. So I have a sign with me. Let's go ahead and run over here and plop this sign down, and we're going to try and create a warp that doesn't exist. So we're going to say, oops, not warp, and we're going to call this hi or something, and it will say warp hi. Alright, so guys, I went and looked through the code because I noticed there was something wrong, and I found this right here. So this is obviously not going to work because this is giving an error in the console. I'll show you guys really fast, and it is pretty much saying that the name cannot be null right here, and it's giving us a direction to line 24. So we are going to change this to config manager. We're just going to go to the config, and we are going to check if the configuration section is null or not. So we're going to say get line 0 dot to lowercase. Oh wait guys, actually it is going to be a 1 right there. So let's go ahead and build this now. And there we go, we built it. Let's go back in game and reload. Sorry, I was testing it out because I noticed some errors. So let's go ahead and run or fly to like right here per se. And we can place our warp sign down and say warp and just say this. And as you can see, it says the specified warp does not exist. Please create a new sign with a valid warp. And let's go ahead and create a sign with a valid warp. So warp, and let's say test, because that is a valid warp. And you can do this in like camel case like that. And if we hit OK, as you can see, it created a new warp sign for the warp test. So there we go, it says warp test. And if we right click this, boom, it teleports us to that test. And if we go to /warp, actually let's fly back over here, and we can actually go and create a warp over here so we can interchangeably go to different warps. So here's the warp test. Let's go ahead and create a new warp, and we're gonna call this water, I guess. So we created a warp water. This will take us to test, and we can create a sign right here, and we're gonna set up a warp that goes to water. And that created a sign for the warp water. Let's go ahead and try that. As you can see, these interchangeably work and take us to the different warps. So thank you guys for watching. That was a little bit of an advanced tutorial on how to use signs for your plugins, and this was just an example with the warps plugin. It's a pretty useful feature, like in essentials where you have the heal signs and warp signs as well. So this is kind of like that. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in episode 20.